Working in a haunted house.
Yeah. Oh, your tattoo went green screen.
What?
When you held your arm up, the green on the tattoo disappeared.
Oh, did it? Oh, yeah, no way. That's so cool. The future is here.
Hello, welcome to Podcast vs. Player, episode 242. I'm one of your hosts, Cal, and as always, I'm joined by a man who can't believe he forgot to go to the gym today. That's 5 years in a row now.
That's true.
It's only bloody Dan.
Hello.
Hello. You in your bunker?
I'm in the sex bunker. I don't know what I was going to say then, but it turned out differently than what I was planning on.
It looks a lot different as well.
There's enough screens.
I mean, to be fair, that could be what it is. Like a bit, what's the word? Voyeurism. Is that the right thing?
Yeah, so it's just like
Fine.
they're all cameras all set up in people's toilets or whatever. Yeah, yours is behind me.
Not everyone. Mine's the one in the middle with the pig on it.
No, yours is the one in front of me that I can just keep on watching right now.
Yours is the one that's not a camera, it's just glass. It's just a window.
It's just a seat, and then it's just my face like that.
That's a real thing, isn't it? There was a place in Japan, and a guy got...
Of course.
I can't remember if he got arrested or just massively fined. I can't remember the story. But it turned out that the toilets in the establishment had like two-way glass, basically, like a mirror thing. So they were going to the toilet, but he was underneath watching.
I hope he got arrested.
And like I say, he was either arrested and went to prison for a very long time, or arrested and just got fined a shitload of money. One or the other.
Good. Pervert.
Did cross that off the list. Some things I can't do now. How are you anyway, Pervo?
I'm good. I've just realised that I've left the window open though, because the bus has just gone past, and I think the mic's just picked it up, so I might just go and close that.
As good a time as any.
Yep.
Not a very good bunker if it's got windows. Did your haircut? Did your haircut?
Yeah, last week.
Okay, looks a bit shorter. Nice and
Yeah.
nice and snap, nice and sharp.
Well, it's for the races, wasn't
Does it help you run fast?
it? Yeah.
There's the
The
joke.
best joke, and that's not even going to be. It's not even going to be used.
Right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Out the diddly devil are you?
I'm all right. I had a late night last night, and I probably only got about 4 hours sleep or something like that. I was fucking knackered this morning, and then today's just absolutely screamed by. So I'm halfway between sort of like still being energized from work and probably about to pass out. So I don't think this is going to go particularly well, if I'm
It's
honest.
a good middle ground to be for a podcast. Well, it's been a mental weekend, Dan. We've had the opening of Oppenheimer and Barbie after all of the... Which, funnily enough, I don't think it was yours talking to about it, but obviously there's been a lot of press and publicity for both of these films. Do you know why? Because of the writer's strike. They wanted to get everything in, because obviously there was talk that the actors were going to join as well, which a lot of them have. And so it was basically a case of, so they could do the press and publicity for it. They've just gone fully, like, as much in as they can. And then it's got to, like, a date, and then they've just gone, no more. That's it. We're going. We're not attending anything else.
Yeah.
Which I think Cillian Murphy was, like, happy about, because I don't think he likes doing press and publicity anyway. Which is weird when you're an actor.
No, I think that's I'd be like that as well. Like, unless it was like contractual, like I wouldn't be going on like talk shows and doing interviews and that kind of stuff.
Surely it is contractual though, isn't it?
But that's the thing. Like I'd still rather say pay me 20% less, and I don't have to do any publicity stuff. I don't want to go on Graham Norton or Jonathan Ross or Jimmy Kimmel or whatever. Like, I don't want to do any of that. Pay me less, you keep the money, and I don't have to do it. If I could agree that, yeah, I'd be an actor. That's what's stopping me.
That's the only reason.
It's the contractual stuff, yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd enjoy it, but you've also got to watch what you say and stuff, don't you? Like,
yeah, I mean, that means you need to tone right down on your massive racism.
Yeah, that and all the homophobic stuff and everything. Just, we're joking, by the way. I don't need to cut down at all. I'll do what I want.
No. This is the internet. You do whatever you want.
Well, no, I mean, like, there's a lot of things that, I mean, like, Tom Holland's a perfect example of it, where he just blurts things out without thinking about it.
No, that's all planned.
But no, but I mean, like, that's the kind of thing I would do. I already do it with you. I just go, I'll say something about a film or a show or something you haven't watched. That's true, actually. But it's just it's not oh man, I'm probably going to piss Dan off. It's just I either forget you haven't seen it or I assume that you have. One or the other. Like,
if I could pick and choose as to, there's like, well, you got to do at least 5 interviews, you got to do 1 red carpet, you got to do something like that. As long as I could choose what I was doing, and they left that up to me, because then I'd just go on like some podcast that's got like 20 subscribers, because then it's a little boost for them, and I don't have to worry about anything getting back. Because again, I'd go on Michael Rosenbaum's his podcast. Yeah, he seems like that'd be like a cool little interview. I reckon that would be.
Pete Holmes does. I can't remember what Pete Holmes is called. No, you made it awkward. But he's a very funny guy. Have you ever watched Bad Man, the old college humor skits?
Is that he was Batman and it was just
he's an idiot.
That.
Yeah. That's Pete Holmes. He's got a really good podcast. It's basically the same setup as Lex Luthor's, but he's never not going to be Lex Luthor. But where it is guests of his like ilk, so like people like your Stephen Amell's and stuff and whatnot. And that's the same with Pete Holmes, but it's obviously more comedians. Like Zach Braff was on his last one. But I'd like to go on shows more like that, but at the same time, I'm already regretting saying I'll do them, because that means I'd have to go on a James Corden show.
Well, no, that's it. Like if I could choose, they'd be like, you've got to do Kimmel, you got to do whoever the other one is.
I do Conan O'Brien.
Nah, even
really?
that would wind me up.
Oh, I like Conan.
Yeah, it's too American. Like it's all like, let's get up and do a little dance. No, how about fuck off?
So you wouldn't do like any kids Saturday morning shows?
Is that even a thing anymore?
I'm gonna say
you've got one.
What, Saturday morning show?
Yeah.
Logan doesn't watch Saturday morning shows.
But that's
he watches YouTube.
Yeah, you watch the same video 500 times in a row.
That's another thing though. Like kids these days don't. Like when we were little.
These days.
Yeah, well, not to sound like a silly old fart, but that's what it is. Like when we were young, it was getting up early to watch SMTV, so you could watch Pokemon and fucking Wonky Donkey and stuff. But now they just get up, wake up, get the tablet, watch YouTube or Netflix or whatever. There's no. I saw a meme the other day where it's like kids of today will never know like the exhilaration of running to the toilet during an ad break and then your sibling shouting, "It's on!"
yeah.
But yeah, it's been a mental one for Barbie and Oppenheimer, and because of that, Dan, we're going to talk about The Flash, because we haven't seen either of those two films.
Nope.
But we have finally seen DC's The Flash, and
yes,
there will be spoilers here going forward. But it is available on Amazon Prime to buy or rent. So if you haven't made it to the cinema, you can give it a watch. In 4 words or less, did you hate it?
No, I didn't.
That's same here.
I didn't hate it, but I also didn't really like it.
It's not I mean, we have talked very briefly over text. I think it is the best DC movie, but again, that bar
It's
it's
not great,
pretty
is it?
fucking low.
No, I'd still say that something like the Suicide Squad, I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. That felt better. It felt like it was more. It was better put together.
More polished.
This felt like it was. It was kind of like it was a horse, a camel, designed by committee. You know, like it felt like. It was, as it clearly has been as well, it's just been pieced together over years, and they've had to go back and they've had to redo things. They've had to change a bit here and change this there. I mean, things like I know this probably would have been taught to death. Because as I always try and do, I went into this completely blind outside of the trailers. So obviously I knew that Keaton was in it. I knew that there was going to be two Ezra Millers in it. I knew that Affleck was going to be in it. But then with spoilers, with Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Clooney, like all of them I had no idea that any of those were in there. So whenever that did happen, I was like, "Ha, that's cool." And to be fair, it was really weird because when Clooney popped in, well, skipping to the end, but when Clooney got out of that car, I was like, "Oh, that's funny." And then it was about 10 minutes later, I was like, "He was Batman." Like, not like he was Batman in that. I was like, he was a Batman before.
Yeah.
Because I just thought, oh, it's just another famous person they just managed to get in there. That's funny, rather than that's another person who's played Batman. That's cool. That honestly didn't even register. But do you reckon they would have got Kilmer to come in as well if he was?
I honestly think they would have tried. So if Adam West was still alive, if Kilmer was still alive,
they probably would have got him in.
They'd have jumped into that. I assume Bale was asked, and he
wait, Val Kilmer's dead.
Maybe he can't speak anymore, can he?
No, that's what I mean. Like, so if they could have got him, then that would have made sense.
I mean, they could. They could have done it.
I don't think you'd.
No, Pattinson definitely wouldn't
work.
do it. I'd say,
I'd say that they wouldn't have even asked. Like, it's so different.
Well, it's. I mean, that's still an ongoing thing, though, isn't it? So, like, the only one that was his current was Affleck, and that was his last one. So to get Pattinson in,
it didn't seem like he was into it.
I disagree. I think he was more. He felt more into this than Justice League.
Because it was just like it just like nothing had any real kind of weight to it. Like everything just felt like it was on a green thing on a green screen or a big blue screen, and he was like he's going to the left and he's going to the right, and then you throw a thing. Okay, thanks Ben, you're done. Like it felt like it was that kind of thing. I think I will say, in terms of things that I really enjoy, I think the majority, if not all, the majority of the jokes worked. I laughed.
Most of them.
It was funny. Some of it was silly. It wasn't all just sort of like, weird neuroses. Sort of, it's just go, oh my god, brunch. Like there was funny things going on, and there was some good slapstick and stuff like that in it. That was fine. The costume design, I think, for the majority, again, if not all, actually, I thought was perfect.
Yeah.
Like the Flash suit, I think that's great. I even like the ridiculous hazard tape ducked together. Fucking bat suit, Flash suit was great.
What really made me laugh with that suit was when they were coming out when they hit the G's in the bat jet, and it was all fucking melting and stuff. When
they're in the little parachute thing, and he just sort of does that and just like twists around his face. Great, because it wasn't all form-fitting. Yeah, really good. I think Supergirl's costume was great. It was just odd that it was just in the chamber with her, but whatever. Like the Keaton bat suit was fine. I'm a bit torn on it though, because I'm just sort of like, because he's just sort of like, well, Gotham's like the safest city in the world now. Like, I don't need it. So he hasn't updated it because he hasn't needed to. So it's still very much like an 80s sort of tech thing, which that side of it I think is great. But it just, I was hoping for like he was going to, what they always do, where they got their normal suit and then something happens and they need to, well, I've got this prototype suit. And I was like, oh my God, you can't use the new prototype suit. And then it's like some cool, and I something like the Batman Beyond suit where it's just like, well, I was going to be using this one, but I never needed to in the end, so it's just there.
That
something like that would have been like a new a new addition.
That's what
to
annoyed
that
me
sort
the
of, like,
most with it, though, is that this Batman, he is like 70, but he doesn't need a Terry McGinnis. The shit
like,
he was fucking
flips
doing.
and kicks and shit he was doing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I like the fact that he was still a bit old and useless, sort of like when they got that guy to cover his face with grey hair and then do like flips and stuff in the kitchen. But the fact that it wasn't like a mechanized suit, or it wasn't assisting him in some kind of way. Again, it sort of speaks to, oh, well, that's just, he'll never really fall out of shape. But he's grey haired and living in a cupboard and making pasta in the kitchen in flip flops. Like, that doesn't seem like he's still on top of his game.
No,
Do you
he
know what I
hasn't
mean?
got it together.
No, but I still think the suit looks great. I think like all the silly gadgets and stuff like that.
The tape measure.
Like, brilliant. Like, everything's sort of like it's like an old Bond movie. It's like he's got to have 50 gadgets. Like, right, well, that one measures it, and then this one's a propel thing, and then this one does this, and this one does this, rather than just one that does everything or can do everything. Like, all of that's kind of great. Do you know why they recast his dad? Do you know why that happened?
I do, mate.
Because it was Billy Crudup, and it was just, I was like, again, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's the same guy. It's the same
story,
character. It's not going to make any difference. So that's fine. I was half expecting at some point that, because obviously we still don't know who stabbed his mom. I would have preferred that if because they haven't done a reverse Flash, which is traditionally what your Flashpoint villain is. It's Thawne messing with him. I was thinking that, oh my god, it's going to have to be him. Like, in order to, create him and help all the people that he's helped or whatever, and give himself the powers and blah 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 blah. And it would be a paradox. He would have to be the one who would have to go back and kill his own mom to then make Barry that same Barry and then get the powers and blah blah blah. That's what I thought they were going to do. I mean, they still kind of, like, it's quite nice, he still had to do a thing that was directly responsible for her being killed. Which is, that was quite touching. But yeah, there was something missing from just, he never got a resolve to who actually did it.
Because the big focus was obviously his mom want to save my mom and stuff. Just also reference, we're not going to reference any of the shenanigans going on with Ezra Miller outside of but this is purely talk about Ezra Miller in the movie, what he's done outside of that, nothing to do with us.
Well, at least it's his last appearance as the Flash. It's pretty definitive to say that.
I'd assume so, but I will say I didn't think it was bad considering he's acting against nothing for the majority of the film. I think he did
or a body double.
There'll be obviously somebody stood there, but I mean it's also like the CGI in it's fucking dog shit, except for your two Ezras, and I reckon that's where all the budget went.
Yeah, maybe, because they were so focused.
But it's want to go back in time, stop my mom from getting killed, blah 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 blah. Need to figure out a way to get my dad off the hook because he's being framed for the murder. But at no point do they go, well, let's find out who actually did the murder.
Yeah, that's it was just it was a thread that just didn't go anywhere.
No, because it was on the logic that they were waiting to rob the house, saw the dad leave, and that's when they took the opportunity. But then by getting rid of the can, so like they're putting the can in, so they're both home. What if they both got killed?
Yeah, that's possible. But this is the thing. Like, if you know the story, you know that it's a Flash or it's a time traveler or whatever. But
not with a knife though. It's not normally with a knife, because obviously he phases.
Although he does kill a Kryptonian that way, which I was kind of. I did like that battle scene was horrific. By the way, like, again, I won't talk about it much, but other than some of the lightning stuff, which was kind of cool, like the speed stuff looked for the most part kind of great. The sort of wiggly wobbliness was.
The running was awful.
Because it's still weird that they're doing this, like the world is moving around him, so he's running slowly, and then I like it when it's just like his legs are going a million miles an hour.
Yeah, just Sonic.
I don't know why. That seems like he's burning more energy that way. If that makes sense.
I still prefer, if you're going to do it that way, I can never remember the sketch, but it's the same as what they do in X-Men for Quicksilver. But from Mitchell and Webb, look,
yeah,
I prefer that view. If you're gonna do it where everything else is slow around them, just do that, because that's what they did in X-Men, where it's just Quicksilver, just like from like here up, just fucking going along, his merry pace, stopping, doing stuff, and that works. Having just Ezra Miller clearly on a fucking treadmill, just flailing wildly, because he's not even like fucking running.
No, it's this sort of like arm whippy thing, but I think that's something that is from the newer comics, like the newer Flash stuff. But there's, but like in that battle scene, you know, they're being quite smart with, like, you know, he creates a tornado. They've introduced phasing now. You know, they're using lightning as a weapon. You know, they kind of like make like a shockwave thing that like electrocutes. Not like that is all quite clever and quite creative, and then, like, obviously Batman's doing his own thing with like that, like the inside of the bat plane sort of spins around like on a gyro. That's great. I love that. No Batmobile. Devastated.
I mean, we saw one.
We saw it, but it should have been ploughing through.
To be honest, though, they went from that straight to like Russia or wherever it was, and then from there was to the desert.
Yeah, where would you? Yeah, I mean, but I suppose there's no real need for it, I guess. Like, but like that plane felt way cool. It's like, oh, that's what the one in the 80s felt like when you were first watching it. You know, it's this huge thing, and it sort of like clunks down into, and it feels like that design again. It is classic, but like having him go up against Kryptonians and it's just useless. Like, he puts a couple of bombs on him, and then they just throw him around, and he's just like, oh, I'm dead because I'm 70. Like this, but that's what I mean. There's no like, oh, we're gonna go and fight a bunch of super people. Better put on the super new that prototype battle armor that I've been saving. You could have had like a whole Dark Knight Rises like gigantic, like even like the Batfleck one, but even more chunky and ridiculous, like an 80s battle suit. It's just like a big clumpy monster.
Even Affleck ain't going up against them. And like that's a Batman in his prime, and the only thing I can assume, and it's not written into it, so it's bad story, it's bad writing and bad storytelling, but I'll be fine in the Batplane, in the Batman. Sorry, I'm not gonna get caught. I'm a great shot. I'm a good pilot, and then not preempting for what happens if I'm out of the ship. What the fuck do I do then?
But also, he's flying around in this plane, which again, presumably hasn't been updated since, or maybe it's been tweaked or whatever since the 80s or 90s. So it's still like a 20, 30-year-old plane at this point, which means that it's got nothing on modern jets. And these are Kryptonians that can fly. I mean, even if they haven't discovered their flight powers, they could still jump up and just fly right through the middle of that. Like, there's not really much that thing is going to do. It was so adorable when he just like, yeah, I've got them missiles away, and it's just these two sort of piddly things going. It's like, mate, you're so outmatched. It's crazy.
But again, that's something that the Keaton Batman's he's never faced anything like that. Everything he's fought the Joker and he's fought the Penguin, and Catwoman.
But he's still supposed to be that strategist. He's supposed to be smart. He should be, you know, he's figuring out things on the fly. He's doing maths and stuff on the fly. You know, but I love the fact that the suit, like the cape, is bulletproof, so he's using that to like cover everyone. That's great. I think Kara, for the most part, is heavily underused.
Yeah, massively. So
but
the whole film.
But she was great. I mean, she killed so many people, like properly, just full on slammed them into a wall at like 200 miles an hour. They're all dead, all of it. I mean, at least they're not hiding it. But there are certain things that were like a part of the Flashpoint thing, which were more interesting for me. So like it was this sort of like withered Superman who, you know, he could have just been released and then gone on. He could have just gone, Zod, I agree, mate. Fuck these people. Like, look what they've done to me. But then you haven't got the Wonder Woman, Aquaman, like Atlantean war. Like, you haven't got like all the heroes and villains kind of working together against these like two enormous threats. It's is a couple of Kryptonians, and I don't know, like, because without Superman, I mean, to be fair as well, I can't put anything on Supergirl in this film as well, because she's been locked in a box for like 20 years or whatever, presumably with like red sun radiation or whatever on her.
So killed Kal-El as well.
As a baby, I mean,
that's even
I'm
worse.
pretty sure I'd have a crack at it.
It's even worse.
If he was a baby, I'd be able to do it, yeah. But I assumed he'd just be like, yeah, we found him and we raised him.
Yeah,
and he was going to come out. He was, he was going to be the one who would take out. Like, there's some stuff that I was thinking in my own brain as I was watching. I was just like, oh my god, that's going to be ace. Oh, they haven't done that. Okay, fair enough. And it does just sort of like there's plenty of Flash stuff that's going on here, like zipping around and doing all kinds of stuff and phasing through people. But it's the things that, like, again, it's purely me is all, and I can't knock any one of them. But when I like the fact that Batman's like, right at the start, it's like, right, I'm going to chase down these criminals. They've got a Humvee, I've got a bike. We'll charge through Gotham and I'll take him out. But Flash, he could have, again, he can run at the speed of light. Just bear that in mind. But he could have zipped over. He could have taken all the wheels off that Humvee, dismantled all of their guns into pieces, gone back and still caught all of those babies.
Well, don't forget,
those horrendous CGI babies.
He was running low on his fuels.
I like. There's like, he's got like, if I don't have enough calories, then I can't get to speed. Why do you not just have like a protein bar belt?
Well,
that's just like full of snacks that you can just smash down.
I'm pretty sure that's what they did in the Flash, and I could be making this up. It's been a long time since I watched it, but in the Flash TV, like the CW show, I'm sure Cisco made like a utility belt that had like not like protein bars that you can buy, but stuff that they'd made for him.
Yeah, like a super high calorie content that's like,
going on a mission, take a few of these. And then you just have
just in case you have to run around the world or something. Yeah, absolutely makes sense.
I did love it though when he's diving through and then the baby's there and it just goes straight past to the vending machine. I was like, that's pretty funny.
That was funny, yeah. But like there was there's stuff like that where it's just like, I still would have rather him had, without any reason or explanation, I would have rather it had been Captain Cold and fucking Weather Wizard, like just like some of his absolutely stupid, like just some of his really stupid ones that had to team up to try and take him down. But just general bad guy that's blown up a hospital. Again, he is supposed to be the fastest thing ever. Like, it doesn't really feel like he is,
as well,
though.
Don't forget.
He's been doing it for 10 years apparently.
Doesn't seem like it. But well,
no.
That's 10 years.
Don't forget, Spider-Man had been Spider-Man for a couple of years before he took on fucking Thanos and that, and he was doing all right for himself.
Yeah, but he'd also got the help of the Avengers.
And he's got the Justice League.
No. But what I'm saying is that the Flash may have been the Flash for 10 years, but he hasn't been doing what he's been doing for 10 years. He's been keeping it under wraps. It's only because Bruce pulls him out, and he's just like, I know you got powers. He's like, no, you ain't.
Yeah, like Iron Man did.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But it's the same thing with
Spider-Man.
And
did you notice the first suit that he put together that was just clearly like a first pajamas Spider-Man? Like, I don't know if that's a comic thing. That was like a legit suit, but it's just like, this seems familiar. Like his first sort of outing, and he's...
They do that anyway, because that's like always been a talkie point, just to prove how fast he is, that the clothes disappear and stuff.
Yeah, that I liked. That was quite good. Like when he first when his other one gets it, and then his clothes incinerate. Love that.
They're like when he's on about the phase, and then he goes from the floor. That's very funny.
Yeah.
But I'd say I really liked it. I enjoyed it from start to end. As is the case with like Infinity War included. It only follows resemblance in the name, and that's exactly what I expected this to be. Like, it's not going to be Flashpoint Paradox. It's going to be the Warner Brothers equivalent of and that's exactly what it was. But it was better than I expected. And as a whole,
yeah,
I think it's really good, and I probably would watch it again. The worst thing about it is the CGI. It's absolute horse shit. And just like really, unquestionable loose ends. Like, why wouldn't you find out who it? Even if it's a no one, just show us that it's a fucking no one. Because we're not gonna find out now.
But that's your sequel, isn't it? You're like, I managed to sort of like put the universe back together properly. No, you haven't, by the way. So like, but that's another thing as well, right? So they've established at the end of this that he's gone back, he's killed his mom, like indirectly. He's come back to the future, but regardless of him going back and taking the same action, there's still a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
There's still this time boom. So it's George Clooney as Batman instead, or Bruce Wayne instead of Ben Affleck. It seems that Jason Momoa isn't Aquaman. He's just he's an Atlantean. He's still Arthur Curry, but he's not in the sea. He's not part of the Justice League. Doesn't like there is one to some degree maybe.
He's still Aquaman.
We obviously don't want this.
He's still Aquaman.
No, he was still an Atlantean,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. But he's just a pisshead now. Or he hasn't accepted his kingly duties or whatever. So if this is the reset that's happened, obviously Clooney is not going to come back and be Batman unless it's in a Batman Beyond capacity where it's just like, I'm done with this. I'll get someone young in. I'll get another Robin or whatever. We don't know what the situation with Superman is. We don't know what the situation with Cyborg is. We don't know where any of the other films, like your Peacemakers and your Suicide Squad, like are they part of the same thing anymore now?
Superman's the first film, isn't it? The reboot.
Legacy, is it?
I
don't know. Oh no, that was the Nick Cage one, wasn't it?
No, yeah. Oh, that was another good little Easter egg. No, he's not.
If you know who he is.
It's obviously, it's very clearly Nicolas Cage.
No, I don't mean Nick Cage. I mean as in who Nick Cage is in this capacity. You're just like, this is funny because Nick Cage was supposed to be Superman in like the 90s. I assume when they were...
a lot of people watching this film knew that it was on the cards.
I completely disagree. I think that only people that have either been aware of it or been told about it would not go. They go, "What the fuck's Nick Cage?"
No. I don't mean people. I mean people watching this movie. So if you've gone to see The Flash, then the odds are that you're fairly versed with DC stuff because it's not like your average moviegoers ain't going to see it. That's why it's tanked at the fucking box office.
Well, no, I imagine it's mainly tanked just because. But like people will go like you don't understand how stupid the general people are. Like people will go, I liked Ezra Miller in that Harry Potter film. I'll go and see him in this, but they won't know anything about it, and they'll go, that's that old Superman. I recognise that. Nick Cage, what the fuck's he doing here?
Well,
like a really horrible CG Nick Cage. What's he doing there?
The same
I reckon that people will leave that and go, why was that in there? And they would then look it up and go, so this is a cancelled thing. That's an odd reference. Like, it'd be funny for people who get what it is. I reckon that there'd be the smallest percentage of people who would get that reference without having to go and look it up.
I don't know about that. But, what was I going to say? Yeah, just going back to the reset for the universe. Why isn't Ezra Miller Flash still in the new universe? Because we know he's not. Well, no. We know in James Gunn's DC cinematic universe. Because
right.
where this film, like we were specifically told, the film ends as the reset for the universe. He's still alive. Fucking George Clooney's Batman. We've got no Superman that we know of. But Superman is the first film, whatever it's called.
But that's the thing. I think that this is that whole thing's knocked on the head now.
Then I should have changed the ending.
But this is it. I don't think that like that ending is probably the best you're going to get, is because they would have been like, well, how the fuck do we get Clooney in it? And it was like, well, there's only one way. Either we have to open up another time portal and he has to come through as another Batman, which he's not going to do because he's going to come in and do half an hour's worth of work and then he's going. So it has to be he's fucked up, and this is what the new world is. Dun dun dun. End. And then put the whole thing to one side, and we'll just start from scratch. But obviously, what the plan should have been is to be, right, whatever that new thing is, this resets that, and then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas what they've done is they've bookended it poorly, and this will just take over. Because whilst you might get a few of the same actors sort of reprising a few roles, maybe, if you're lucky, I can't imagine that this is going to have anything to do with any of the others. There's not going to have been a Dark Side and a
Aquaman 2
Doomsday and all that.
Is that's coming out as part of the
Well, maybe that would be the last one then. But then, is that not the Arthur Curry that we've seen at the end of this? Is it the original one before the time thing? Or is that going to be a part of it? I don't think so, because I don't think they thought that far ahead.
Thought anywhere. Never mind ahead or not. I
honestly, I think that they're
it.
getting really mixed up with this now. I think they just need to... If Aquaman is that's the last one that's completed production before they start a new one, that's your ending. That's it. Blow the world up or whatever, and then start from scratch.
I think they should have just gone, don't release it, either of them. Just
yeah, I mean, I could see why they had to release this, because to be fair, they binned off Batgirl as well. I honestly think that probably would have been better than this.
Looking at some of the tales of the like on-set stuff, sounds like it's gonna be a fucking train wreck.
I mean, they're not exactly knocking it out of the park. Like Shazam was fine. Like Shazam 2 was okay. I still think that Wonder Woman and the Suicide Squad are probably the best ones that they've done.
I think
so
Suicide
far.
Squad definitely.
Personally speaking,
the James Gunn one, by the way, not the previous. I think Suicide Squad's probably the best. No, yeah, that would be the best one. Like I said before, Wonder Woman, the first half of the film is excellent. After the second half, I hate. I can't fucking stand it. And I think The Flash, in terms of from start to finish, is better than Wonder Woman. Not saying it's a better film, but in terms of not going, oh, how long we got this to go? Because that's what I did in Wonder Woman. Once we get to that bit in the film, I'm bored.
Yeah,
I don't like it, and I wish they just kept it the same as the first half.
I mean, I was more invested in like the Snyder version of Justice League.
Yeah.
Like that felt more put together. I mean, again, it's a film that's come out and then they spent millions to redo it and then try again. So of course it's going to be better, but it just feels more. It feels better put together. Whereas this just feels like it's an idiot 6-year-old wrapping a birthday present. Like, I can tell what it is, and I know that you've tried, but it's, you haven't sellotape the ends properly, and it's spelt wrong, and it did not. But you tried, and it's good for what you've done. So well done. But I don't think I'd be in any rush to go back and see it again. The only thing that I'd probably watch about it would be like a supercut of like, oh, here's Batman's fight, here's all the Flash stuff. If they went, fine, we'll redo all the CG. We'll spend another 2 years and we'll get it all looking right. Also, for half of that shit, either if you can't do it properly, don't do it. Or you've got the actors, do it with them. Why is everyone head replaced? Why is everyone CG'd in a bubble?
I assume it's the look that they're going for. Like this is this isn't something I've thought of. I forgot who I was. I think it was Greg Miller from Kind of Funny, but. Basically, when it's in flash mode, like everything slow motion stuff, it's almost like a kind of Madame Tussauds, like Waxworks style to the people. So like when the babies are falling, you got the dog and everything else, and then when they're in the weird time ball, and it's all like the people and that. The reason that it's not the actual people is because it's got to match the same aesthetics. So that's how it looks, because it's not real.
Bollocks. That is a cover story to cover up some... Because that's never been the case before.
No, it hasn't.
You've seen him do Flash stuff a bunch of times, and it's never been the case. Also, if that... And I would absolutely be like, sure, if that's an artistic decision that, when everything's going, like, everything's a bit sort of, like, weird and dreamy. But then, like, people's faces should be, like, melting and doing all kinds of shit if that's what you're going for. Even if they've done that to cover poor CG... I'd be like, sure, makes sense, I guess, in the terms of what you're trying to go for here. But it's not that. It's just not good.
The irony being,
it's just not good.
That Christopher Reeve's Superman and Supergirl look the most realistic.
But that looked like it was more. It was like a remastered image from the film.
Well, I can't remember on looking out at anything though in that. So potentially because that particular, I can't remember which Superman it is, but I will have only seen that one a handful of times. I wasn't a massive fan of the Christopher Reeve's Superman films after the first one, to be honest. But it looked like it potentially may have been a doctored scene, but you could have got Nicolas Cage would have come in for those 10 seconds of footage. He'd have come in to film that.
I don't know, it depends if he's got bad memories. If he's just like, well, I should have been Superman, or I'm not, and I'm not going to come back in and give you a joke that no one's going to get.
I don't think it was a joke. I think it was like these are the different worlds.
But get to what end though? It's not like it's like if one of them had been the new, I can't remember his name now, but the new guy who's been cast as the new Superman. If one of them was him, and he was like, "What the fuck?" I'd have been like, "No way! What? Like that's a cool little Easter egg for like the future."
Maybe it was.
No, it wasn't. It was George Reeves.
Maybe it is Nicolas Cage.
That would be man. That what a turnaround that would be. But with the mullet and the thing, like that's great, and it's a cool thing to something that never happened.
Yeah.
But Nick Cage with a mullet fighting a spider. I bet there's like 1% of people who maybe saw that and went, ha!
I was hoping it was going to be the polar bear.
What?
In that film that never came out, one of the scenes that they'd done some of the test footage for was him fighting a polar bear.
Oh right, okay. Well, like a giant polar bear or something. Right, okay. It smacks that they've just gone, right, multiverse of madness, a Spider-Verse. There's all these kind of cool things. We could do like the sort of like the history
Spider-Man
of
thing,
all Superman. But they went, here's Superman, here's Superman, here's Superman, here's Superman, here's one Flash.
Yeah.
Where's Grant Gustin? Why didn't they give him a call?
I was massively surprised we didn't see we didn't see Grant Gustin, we didn't see, I can't remember his name, but his dad in the show, who is the original Flash.
Yeah, he was in the TV show in the 90s, wasn't he? Yeah. That's disappointing. Again, like, why is it? Done it. Why is it all the Supermens, but not all the Flashes?
Yeah. Considering there isn't a Superman in this film. Because it's Kara. So
and they also didn't go, Henry Cavill, there he is.
I imagine there was a reason that he didn't do it.
No, but I bet Nick Cage wasn't there. That was just a thing of him.
I bet they had to ask
do the same thing.
I don't think they got around it just because they wanted to.
No. I mean, they would have said, "You don't have to come in. We just want to use your likeness." But they could have said the same thing to Cavill and just been like,
they could have just used footage from a different film. They own it. They own the film.
Yeah.
So, I was gutted. We didn't see. I can't remember the guy's name, but I only know because I looked it up after. You know when they're on about Back to the Future, and they keep saying the other guys.
Oh, Eric Stoltz. Yeah.
He was originally Marty McFly. And there is footage of it. But I honestly thought he was just going to get like a Blu-ray and just like, what are you on about? And then just put it on, and then the world can finally see this footage. Because it's never been seen before, other than the people that obviously have access to it. But that'd been fucking perfect. But that was a good scene. And you know about that. Is that Michael J. Fox? Is that the guy from Footloose?
No, that's Kevin Bacon
from Top Gun. I think for what it is, it was put together. Not rose tinted glasses, but because it was better than I expected. I think I'm getting a lot more higher praise than it probably actually deserves. But in terms of, here's a film about time travel. They've made it as simplistic as possible. And unlike Far From Home and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, this was a multiverse film that actually showed you different multiverses. Don't see that.
I mean, they went to a bunch of different multiverses.
No, they went to one. In Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, they go to one.
No, they go to 2. Because there's the Scarlet Witch family one. Oh no, is she not in the same?
In the same place.
Yeah, she might be in the same
Yeah,
place.
the only sense you get is when they're falling through, and then he goes like spaghetti and.
But again, that was a big thing that people had a problem with.
Yeah.
It's like,
waste.
You go to one place and that's it in the multiverse of madness. What really? But I don't know. It felt like you could have had, like, if you wanted to do right, let's have a send off for everything that we've done, and we'll start again from scratch. So you could have had, you got your Adam West. I heard someone mention the other day that if they'd just got like some stock footage of like the old 64 Batman where they're like walking up a wall, and then Flash had to run past him, like,
that
on
would
the
have been
wall.
Cool.
And I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. Like that's amazing. Because again, you've got the footage. You just whoosh, and him just going, what the fuck? Like, is that as he runs past him or something like that?
Well, Gotham.
You could have.
I'm just thinking of stuff to add in. Like...
but that's it. There's a bunch of it. And if this was supposed to be their kind of like not to say that it is, because obviously Keaton's just sort of like his spaghetti analogy, which I kind of like, that whole fulcrum thing where it's just like, if you change the future, you've also changed the past that goes along with it. That's the new, for me. That's the new paper in half, pencil through the paper, bang, there's a wormhole. That's a good explanation, and then spaghetti or whatever.
Nice and simple.
Also, who the fuck makes spaghetti like that with just sauce on it? Are you kidding me? Is that what they do in America? Mental. Also, the amount of carbs in that, Batman. Psh.
He don't care.
He shouldn't be doing any of them flips if he's eating that much spaghetti every day.
He didn't eat it, did he? It's Flash.
He was intending to.
He was gonna, but he didn't.
Cooked it for him.
Didn't. That's why he had all the extra energy to jump around, because he wasn't sleepy.
He was pissed out of his head.
I would have liked it if, when he was in that cupboard. I know we don't know who it is until he's attacked him. You just see his feet. But if the door had opened and he was asleep upside down. Also,
but no Kid Flash though, no Robins, no nothing else.
Technically, in this universe that he's in now with Clooney, we've got Chris O'Donnell.
Assuming that it is that Batman and Robin Batman, which again I don't know if that has been confirmed to be the case or not. But then that's not him resetting his own universe; it's him going to another one.
Which is a potential, but it's most likely that for some reason, when there's a change in the multiverse, Batman changes who they are. He's gone from Ben Affleck to Michael Keaton to George Clooney. But Flash, if there's another Flash, it's Ezra Miller.
Yeah. So it hasn't changed to it, like he comes out the doors and it's first person, and then he looks in the mirror and it's Grant Gustin.
Yeah.
Because then he'd be like, oh no way.
That would have been that would have been a nice little touch, something like that, where like they haven't got a touch on it for a long time. They just look at it and go, that must be what I look like in this universe, and then move on, and we just continue to see Ezra Miller still. But
yeah, like Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
So it's not Scott Bakula. It's like when he sees himself, it's whoever he is,
the person that he's
taken over or whatever. Yeah.
I
think it was. Honestly, I'm not going to go back and watch it anytime soon. I'm really annoyed that they like that Supergirl outfit was so good. I think she was great. I think that they didn't really do much with her. I did like the fact that she was, so instead of doing like the Flashpoint thing where he gets like horrifically burnt and awful, and then he makes Thomas Wayne take him back up and do him again. The fact that she just went up and got him struck by lightning. I don't know if it works like that necessarily, but that was kind of a cooler thing. And then he heals, and that's all very well and good.
It's the little touches like that do bring it to Flashpoint, and whereas the overall arc of the story is go back in time, stop him off from dying, stop Dagger in prison. It's the same. There's little bits throughout the film that they're not directly taken from the comic, but they're close enough that you can go, oh, that's that bit. I would have preferred to see some Jeffrey D. Morgan Batman action, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I might be the only one. I'd have preferred that instead of Keaton. I loved Keaton.
I'll tell you what, it seemed like he was having a good old time in it.
Yeah.
Like he had his heart in it. But then you had like, so we didn't get like Chris Maloney coming back. We didn't get Martian Manhunter, like Lennox or whatever his name was, the general fella. We just had Zod.
But that's what they swapped. I assume that's what they swapped out for, though. So instead of having the Atlanteans and the Amazonians going to war, the big war was Zod, and that directly connected it more to the Snyder stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, it makes sense why Superman's not there. It's Kara instead. Like it ties together nicely enough. I'm not saying it's right, but there's enough. This I personally think this is closer to the comic than Infinity War was.
What in terms? Yeah. Well, but then you still don't have. You don't have like your Captain Atom.
There's plenty missing.
But yeah, that's what I mean. There's like some of the really cool stuff from like Aquaman cheating on his missus with Wonder Woman, and then Wonder Woman killing her, and then sparking a war that floods the planet. Like stuff like that seems way more interesting now. Everyone's got this sort of like, so you've got all the almost B-listers kind of like heroes and villains that are all, they've all taken sides, and you've got Deathstroke and Lex Luthor and whatever all working together.
That seems like it would be more of a Flashpoint Part 1.
But I'd be okay with that. Like, you just go, right, Jesse Eisenberg, we need you to come back and do 2 days where you just Lex Luthor doing Lex Luthor-y stuff. We get Joe Manganiello to come back and we'll do him as Deathstroke, so then that's it. Another one ticked off. Someone who's supposed to do a thing that never turned into another thing, tick. Gal Gadot will just get you in for 30 seconds to do another lasso of truth joke. No, because like she catches them, and then it's just like a 5 or 6 second shot where it's just her just standing there like that. I was just like, "Are you doing something?" It's exactly what happened in Shazam 2, where she just shows up and goes, "Hey, it's me. See you in a bit."
Where was you when I was fighting a dragon?
don't get involved. Like, just write her out or recast her. Like, don't just keep getting the same actress to come in to just do 30 seconds of screen, because it's just it lessens it. I'm not super excited when she shows up. I'd only be excited if she did something, and they're not having her do anything. And now she can fly. Could she fly before?
I mean, she can fly, but I don't think she's flown in the films.
That's what I mean. Like, she had the fucking jet.
Yeah. Like, comic-wise, she can fly, so it's not like they've just given her powers. But
no, but
in the movies, she's never done it.
Yeah, she's just developed the ability.
To my knowledge, anyway, she may have done it. I'm just not remembering correctly.
I don't know. I'm not watching Wonder Woman 84 again. I'll tell you that.
She definitely didn't fly in the first one, and I'm not rewatching 84 to find out if she flies in that. But I'm 99% sure she don't.
No.
Maybe in Justice League, Snyder one.
No, there was like, because she was whipping off the lightning, wasn't she, in the second one? So like, you don't need to be lassoing lightning bolts if you can fly around. But either way, it's a fun little thing.
And she sets that. Do you think that her theme is her ringtone, and she sets it off when she gets there?
Well, when she turns up, yeah. But I tell you what, there's no Cyborg in it, Callum, because he would look horrific in this movie if they did.
You know what? I've just thought, Dan. We didn't have. I forgot. Ray Fisher. That's his name, isn't it? Yeah. So we didn't have him in it. They allude to him. He hasn't become Cyborg, and he's a.
But you could have just had him.
No.
Like go. Yeah.
But in the multiverse stuff, we get Cyborg from Teen Titans Go. Animated like Peter Porker.
Again, mate, I think you're messing with budget that they just don't have. Can we get a fully animated character? No, of course we can't. We can barely do the CG ones that we have to use.
A 2D character.
Yeah. And again, in the tone of this movie, just like a booyah.
I'd fucking love that.
Nah.
No, it's not awful, and I don't know. When it's free on Prime or something, I'll probably watch it again. Maybe. We're not going to get a redo, so the CGI is not going to get fixed. I can't remember the gentleman's name who's directed it, but I can't imagine there'll be a hashtag release the something cut.
No, I can't remember either, to be fair.
Just speaking of Deathstroke, though, he got divorced the other day. From
Thanks, Hello Magazine.
I didn't know he was married to Gloria from Modern Family.
Really?
Yeah,
Bloody hell, well done, mate.
Well, not now because of the divorce, but
Oh, well, yeah.
but that would have been good though, because again, that's something we didn't get to see. We didn't get to see his Deathstroke, other than the very brief teaser of him at the end.
It depends on what the plan is for it. I think when we see Aquaman 2, I think that will set the precedent as to how this is. Are they just going to say that was just another thing that happened and then they're just going to move on for it, or is that going to be everything in the bin now and we'll start again from scratch and we'll do a new Superman and we'll do a new Batman and we'll do whatever?
I think it'll be.
But then that means that you've still got your Joker and your Batman films that are completely unrelated to anything else that's going on anyway.
Yeah, because the Pattinson films are like the Pattinson and Thingy's Joker movies are completely like Elseworld movies, which I'm fine with. But do you reckon they'll just do Aquaman 2 and at the beginning it'll be like the following film takes place before the events of Flashpoint?
No, because then that would try and explain away that we're trying to make sense of this. Like I don't think they want to connect themselves to anything at this point.
They got to, because that's the problem.
They're just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, and they get right. The Joker, people like that one, and that Batman one, people like that one. But everything else is up for grabs.
But it doesn't have to be a connected universe. That's the thing. Like
no, and I'd be much happier if they, instead of just saying we'll do another Batman, we'll do a Green Lantern, we'll do whatever. If they went right, we've done a Joker, let's do a Mr. Freeze, let's do a Catwoman, let's do a Poison Ivy, let's do a Bane, let's do a, just have like these solo things, and then instead of it, da-da, Justice League, you go da-da, Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
And then it's just sort of like, then you've got a Flash or a Green Lantern or whoever it is to kind of try and stop them. But it's all the villains. Like, I'd say just do that, like do the opposite. Like the Universal monsters, that, the vampires and, like, what they're trying to do, the Frankenstein monster and all that, and, have a cool thing of villains. Which again fell down on its arse. But they've done the Suicide Squad, which are all supposed to be bad guys, and they've done Joker, which is a bad guy, and then this new Joker and Harley, that's two more bad guys. Like that seems to be like they're doing okay with those. Get proper filmmakers to come in and make a real good bad guy story.
That's the problem with the Suicide Squad, though. They're not doing bad guys. They're making them all into anti-heroes.
But that's okay to a degree. Like even your Peacemaker, it's always like I'll go around and kill everyone, but it's for the greater good.
Yeah, but the reason that they're in, like where I forgot the name. What's the name of the prison?
Is it Blackgate or Iron Heights?
I think it's Iron Heights. I could be wrong there, but the reason they're there is because they're like real bad. But
it's
and
real bad
they're super powered for the most part.
But by just normal people standards, like they're having to go around and kill because they're being told to go around and kill. But if they do that on their own, then they're criminals.
Yeah, and that's backwards.
So they're all still criminals in society's sense. Like all of them are. But then when they go off and do this mission, it's because they're made to, otherwise they'll get killed.
Yeah.
So
I just don't get I never get the sense that they're bad. They just feel like the Avengers that swear.
Well, even the Avengers swear these days. No, we're getting F-bombs and stuff dropped now.
Well, from a Guardian, not an Avenger.
I'd say that's as close as you're gonna get.
I've got good feelings for the James Gunn DC universe. Like the first thing he did was Suicide Squad, and that was good. Guardians have been excellent for the most part. I think he's just a good director. However, do you want to see Superman, the Guardians movie?
No.
Exactly. I can't think of a worse character to start with for him. I could be wrong, but he doesn't strike me as a...
Well, because we've had sort of like, you kind of Chris Reeve golden age, he's a big nerd, but he's, heart of gold kind of guy. And we've had mopey murder Superman. Like, you need to find a good ground. Like, honestly, like the I can't remember his name now, but the guy who plays Superman in Lois and Clark, like the new, I've only watched like 4 maybe. I haven't stopped because he's not very good. I've just stopped because I was doing something else presumably, but that is actually quite a good, in my opinion anyway, it's quite a good representation of how I see him. You know, he's a family man, he's still got problems, and he wants to teach his kids, but he's still got the responsibility of saving the world and all that kind of stuff.
Dean Cain.
And he's you know, he's sorry,
Dean Cain.
better than that, like 100% better than that. But like that is, it's a far more fleshed out kind of guy rather than just it's a guy in a cape and he saves people.
Yeah.
Like it's that just sort of that 2-dimension, and that's what, you know, Henry Cavill is a good actor, and he can do more than they gave him. They just went, he looks like he's got the physicality, he's got the muscles and that, you'll do, and then don't really say anything, and your dad's an idiot.
I think he's perfect. It's just the films were bad. I think he's looks wise, face wise, he looks like he's a good Clark Kent, and he's a real good Superman. Body wise, he's Superman, and he's still got that ridiculous comic book, like rational thinking, where just because he's put a shirt and tie on, no one fucking notices, but he's still fucking massive. And like the suit, I like the Snyder suit. I think it's a real good costume. Not so much the hope nonsense that goes with the S, but whatever. It's just the films are just bad, and it's not Cavill's fault. He does what he does. He gets paid, and there's not much. I can't imagine he had a massive amount of say in the making of those films. And when you've got a show like Lois and Clark, notoriously the CW shows are generally pretty wank. But if you like it, that means it's got to be at least somewhat decent. And that,
I mean, I was enjoying that more, and I wanted to watch more. It wasn't like I got to the end of it, like where it's just like, where it was like Gotham or Flash or Arrow, before I just sort of gave up on all of them.
Yeah.
But I was just like, nothing's really happening. I'm not really engaged. I'm not really enjoying it. But I've already watched 4 seasons of this. Like I can't stop now. Like that one, I was just like, again, it could get worse. I have no idea. But the way that it was filmed, like almost like it felt like they were filming a movie.
Yeah.
Like cinematography wise, and I felt that had far more kind of thought behind it than just let's just make another cool teen drama where everyone's super hot and rich and do whatever.
It's the same people that made Riverdale.
Exactly.
But this is what I mean, and again, not trying to get to watch Riverdale, but that's why I like the cinematography of Riverdale, because it's not filmed like a teen sitcom. It's filmed like a movie, filmed very well, and it's the same people that have done this. So it's not surprising.
Yeah. I'd suggest that you at least watch a few of them. Again, I intend to go. I genuinely do intend to go back, because I think there is like 2 or 3 seasons of it that are already out. I don't know if it's been pulled already.
I don't know. You know, it was Comic-Con the other weekend as well, and I don't remember seeing anything.
No, I mean it depends on how popular it is, though. If they're you're not going to make a big push on something if no one gives a shit about it anyway.
I don't know. We're fucking 12,000 seasons of The Flash.
Yeah, I mean, thank God that's over with. But there's like Titans. I think that's been knocked on the head now as well.
Even though it's fucking excellent.
Yeah, but then they've also binned off Constantine and Swamp Thing and all the properties that were actually quite well received. And yet, we'll get another season of Flash out. Why not?
Just having a look now at this.
Oh, go on.
It says it is an American superhero drama developed for the CW. So it sounds like it is still
going on then. How many seasons are there then?
3 up to now.
Okay, yeah, I thought that sounded about right. But I'm pretty
Tyler
sure I
Hoechlin.
didn't. That's him. Yeah, I think he carries, like, he's not sort of like, he doesn't feel like he's this sort of larger than life kind of guy. It's so the best example I could think of is that did you watch Jupiter Rising?
Yeah, on Netflix. The one that got cancelled immediately.
Yeah, the superhero film, whatever. Was it Tim Oliphant?
Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah. So he when this I was watching it again the other week, and there's like a scene where it's like him and his missus, and they're sort of like in the kitchen, they're cooking, but they're still sort of like these grandiose things, and they talk like in a very specific kind of way, and it's just like they don't feel like it's just like, you know, they're sort of like, well, you know, when I'm out there, I'm this legendary whatever. But you know, here I'm just an old like. Whereas this Superman does feel like he's at home and he's just, you know, he's worrying about his kids and things like that. Like it feels far more real world and grounded rather than it does. It's just like, you know, well, ancient prophecies and blah blah blah. Like it's always things that are interrupting him being with his family. That's how it feels, and it just feels like it's a better presentation at least.
I still don't think he's big enough.
But your CW budget isn't going to say, we want you on this, like, we'll get you to this Henry Cavill size in 6 months, and you've got to maintain it.
It doesn't go against him as Superman. It's just, that's just something that people, not just specifically me, but that's something that people will do. When you think of Superman, you automatically, even Christopher Reeves was a big chap, a lot bigger than the suit made him look, at least anyway.
Yeah.
And I think facially, this I've just closed it. I forgot his name already. But this guy looks like Superman. He's a good-looking chap, very chiseled.
Got a great chin.
Oh yeah, excellent. He'd make a good Batman. But but then he's not skinny by any means. It's just when you put him next to it is putting me next to Cavill in that instance.
Yeah.
And he's a lot more athletic. Especially when you look at like even someone like Tom forgot his name from Smallville.
Welling.
Tom Welling. He was a lot bigger, and he was like 12.
Where was Tom Welling in this? In Flash? Why wasn't he Superman?
He came back for Flashpoint for the CW show, and he actually put the suit on. Well, it was just opening his shirt, but he actually put it on because he refused to do it in Smallville. Why? I don't know.
I don't believe that. He refused to be Superman.
Yeah, like one of the he didn't want that, like, because the whole premise of it was this is a young Clark Kent learning to hone his powers and stuff, and he wouldn't suit up for it. That's his own words. That's his own words.
It was like the production people were just like, you know, he's never going to fly, he's never going to wear the suit, he's never going to wear a cape, he's never going to do whatever, because it was budgetary, and they did. It's like whenever you hear someone like when they're saying, you know, oh, we're going to do a Godzilla film, but we don't want to have any Godzilla in it. Like, we don't have him just fight a big monster. It's like, but you missed the point as to why people want to go and see these kinds of films. They want to see Superman flying around and doing Superman stuff. They don't want to see him moping about in a church. That's what they don't want to see. They want to see him fight a big monster.
The idea was for Smallville to focus on Clark before he became Superman, to keep him in that phase of his life right through the end. Welling saw this series as Clark Kent trying to discover who he was and where he could fit in within the world. Once he could put the suit on, that would make everything too easy.
Well, yeah, because at that point you're Superman. But why would you not want to be Superman?
No, he's just saying, like, once he's put the suit, like, he refused to wear it because once he's got it on, that's the end. That's the end. That's the end goal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's stupid.
Not my words. I'm supposed to say his words.
But it's the Gotham thing all over again. It's like, you don't want to see him in the suit until you do, and then it's the end.
Well, with the Gotham thing, though, I don't think that was ever I don't think the end goal was ever to do that. It seemed very rushed and madcap, but it seemed that it was always going to be about Gordon and never about Bruce. And then the more that it got a bit silly and comic booky, then they just went, fuck it. Do you want?
Time job. Yeah.
Which, again, I'm fine with. Just do it properly. We never had to see him. Just see him from behind. That's enough. The whole...
Or like they did in Titans, where it was just like when he first shows up and he just kills that room full of soldiers. Yeah. Like, it's smoke, and it's just like people getting whipped around and carried off or whatever. And it was just like, oh my god, this guy's a lunatic. Yeah. And like, he kills Starfire. Like, it's just like, oh my god. Like, and you don't need to see him, you don't need to hear who he is or whatever. It just,
you know,
it's it's a silhouette of, you know, a shadow of a legend of a whatever. I don't want to talk about this anymore, frankly, because I'm already sick of it. But I'd say, if anything, maybe a 6 out of 10. I think the special effects absolutely let it down. Like, I couldn't really get past it. Like, imagine if you went and watched Avatar and all of the aliens looked a bit odd and all the plants were all like low res and nothing really worked properly and it all looked shit. Like, it would throw you out of it so quickly.
That's one of my biggest criticisms of the new one, though, is it looks fine. I mean, it looks fine, but it doesn't look groundbreaking. Because
I still haven't seen the way of water.
It's boring. You need to watch it, but I don't rate it very high.
Well, speaking of though, you still haven't watched the new Transformers film.
I haven't. I still fully intend to, along with Oppenheimer and Barbie and the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film is out this week.
Yeah, that's out soon, isn't it? Yeah.
Some school holidays, I might take Logan to see that. Maybe Ninja Turtles as well, if he's good at Oppenheimer. But no, yeah, I definitely want to watch them too. Very excited for Barbie, to be honest. More so than any other.
Of all of them.
Yeah.
I don't understand why I'm so excited for it, but I just think it's going to be a great little commentary piece. Like, I'm genuinely looking forward to going and watching it.
It's on like 93% or something on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, well, it's probably getting upvoted by super liberals and it's getting downvoted by the super conservative. So there'll be a happy medium in there somewhere, I'm sure. But speaking of time travel, Callum, there was a very exciting event that happened to me yesterday or the day before. Maybe yesterday. Was it yesterday?
I don't
know. There was so historically, and I don't want to start talking about Star Trek again, Callum, but I'm going to. Like, time travel and dimensions and all that sort of stuff is an absolute staple. It's always happened. It's been happening for fucking decades, right? And typically, not every time, but in most instances, whenever there's a new show, there is a remnant of the old show that sort of like hands the baton over to a degree. So when the Next Generation started, in the first episode, Bones McCoy,
yes,
DeForest Whitaker, DeForest Kelly, DeForest. He's in it as himself, as McCoy, but he's just like super old. And then like Scotty's been in it, and Leonard Nimoy's been in it. And then when Deep Space Nine started, there was like John Frakes and Worf, or potentially, or maybe Data or something like that, who were on the station. And it's again the Enterprise is docked there, and like Patrick Stewart's in it obviously as well because he meets Cisco, and Cisco doesn't like him because he killed his
thong song
wife or whatever. Yeah, it was just when they had their whole rap thing. And then when Voyager started, that started on DS9. Do you know what I mean? So it's always like, sorry,
Janeway.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. Well done. And I think Enterprise is the only one that hasn't, because it's like a super prequel, so you can't really do that. But there's been like a crossover to a minimal degree. Like, it's like, oh my god, it's like Quark and Tom Parry. Oh, that's cool, isn't it? Like, to see them together, that's weird. And in Strange New Worlds, so like again, Strange New Worlds was launched from Discovery. And then it's kind of taken on life of its own, and Discovery's been put in the bin because it's not very good. But Strange New Worlds is really, really quite good. As is Lower Decks, the animated show.
With Jack Quaid.
And
from The Boys.
With Jack Quaid, absolutely. And yesterday, or whenever it was, when it came out, there was a Lower Decks Strange New World crossover where Jack Quaid and, what's her name? Tawny, Tandy, something or other. Basically Boimler and Mariner, like the two main characters from Lower Decks, they are pulled through from the animated world into the real world, and it's the voice actors playing their characters. Oh. I mean, the episode itself is just a nonsense episode. It doesn't. There's no. Again, that's the point of this whole series, though. It's episodal, so it doesn't matter. But it's
Tawny
just
Newsom.
them. That's it, Tawny. Sorry, yeah. And they basically come out, and as you can imagine, they absolutely crushed it. Like, that whole episode made no sense in any, not everything needs to be about war or whatever. Yeah. Like, it's just a funny thing. It's just like, oh, it's that funny guy. And they're all, because they're just like big wide-eyed fanboys. And just like, oh my god, it's Spock, oh my god, I can't believe you're smiling, what the fuck? Like, there's all of that. And it's like, there's a great clip as well. I'm going to have to see if I can find it for you. But there's a bit in one of the episodes of, I think it's like season 2 or something like that, where Boyne was doing this really stupid walk, and Mariner Satorni, she's like, "Why are you walking like that?" And it's like, "Oh, it's like an energy conserving, like a speed walking thing that they do in Section 31," and it's just like it's really ridiculous walk. And then in this episode, he sort of like turns off and walks away, and he's doing this stupid walk as he walks away. And I was just like, that's absolutely ridiculous. But I love the fact that they've gone, well, he does it in the show in that one, so he's got to do it in this one as well. And it's a fantastic like merge of two things that again has no consequence. And whilst I'd like them to come back in again and do some other stuff, it would take away from whatever else they're trying to do. But if you want to talk about time travel and like making a story that works around it, fuck me, they got it right. Like they got it so right. And then I found out that the next episode is a musical episode.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh no, really?
Oh, my super friend.
That's all I can think of. Or like that fucking Buffy episode where they all have to start singing or whatever.
But
so I'm just like, oh no. Like, is that going to be... Like, you can't have a silly episode and then follow it with a musical episode.
I mean, you can. I mean, I think it's the best way of doing it, rather than doing a silly episode and then a somber episode and then a deep episode and then a musical.
Yeah, maybe. maybe like the mid-season is like, we'll do all the silly stuff in the middle, so then we'll build up to the next big war or whatever.
Of all the people that of all the franchises rather that could pull off a musical episode, I wouldn't assume Star Trek would be the one to do it, but they might.
I don't think that they. I could be wrong, but I don't think that they've done it before.
Upon Far.
That's not a musical episode. It's
oh yeah, no, that was mine. Don't matter.
It's violent combat, usually ending in sex or death. Yeah. But there might be like the only sort of real thing you get is like whenever someone's doing like a violin recital or whatever, and they go, "Oh, I've been practicing the violin." Everyone gets together and gets up.
It's
like that's as close as you get.
It's no more or less daft than going to Sherwood Forest and stuff.
That's the thing. Like it is absolutely the kind of show where you can do that silliness, and it is a part. It wouldn't be people like going, Why are they in the forest now? What the fuck's this about? Like the more mental stuff that you do like that, it does work to its favour.
Is it going to be a reason? So like they go through some kind of fucking something, and it just forces everyone to sing. Or
I have literally no idea. But that's the kind of the beautiful thing with the series or with the franchise. It could just be, it's a nebula. It's a system thing. The universal translator's on the blink and everyone sings instead of talks. It could be a gas, it could be radiation, it could be literally anything that you want to pull out your arse. That's all the reason that you need in order to do it. Like for this one, it hasn't been some like huge contrived, it's all been building up to this thing and then it's this epic event. They just find a thing on a planet and it turns on and zip, they're back in time. Because that just happens all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So they go, oh look, it's this guy and he's with these guys now. That's cool, isn't it? But a musical, I don't know how they're gonna do. Because I'm pretty sure it's the next one, but it could be the one after that. I'm not too sure. It makes
more, like I say, it's just like thematically. If
yeah, because like there's been a bunch of stuff with like the Gorn that you've seen where they're like they're tearing people up.
Scary
and it's, like,
episode that was
visceral and like proper horror, brutal, and then next episode. Oh, we're in Starfleet, yeah. Like, you can't have any of that. Like,
seems more like, because I assume it's going to be like a Disney show. It's like, I see you've been working on the new phases. And it goes, funnily, you should say that because I've been working on these phases. It's been taking long for days. Look at me shoot them, the red and blue rays.
But it depends on whether they go, because if it's like someone just like, there's a weird,
it's gonna be like a bug or something,
microbe, and then all of a sudden someone starts singing, and everyone else is like,
that's what I think it's gonna be.
I prefer it that, because if it's just that they're all singing and there's no reason for it, boo, boo, boo.
Because I like to think that's what's happening in the Disney films, and you've got Belle and stuff like running around singing and stuff. But in the background, you got the other guys who's going, here she goes again. Like, fuck
Or
me.
there's just some guy just drinking a beer, just like, how did everyone in the bar get involved? Like, why am I not?
I don't know the words.
Have you all rehearsed this? Or
I haven't got a script. I don't know the words. Or
I've come from the forest. I've been working cutting down trees, and you're all having a sing and something. Am I pissed? Like, what happened?
that'd be a great film. Just following the lives of like the background characters.
Yeah,
But basically lower decks.
Just... in essence, yeah.
It's a good idea though, because you've got the gravitas of name dropping all the names of characters people know, like Spock and fucking Cisco, and I get like just big name Star Trek characters that don't even need to be in it. You just need to know that they exist, and that's enough of a pull. And you could do the same again, like for like Disney films or Star Wars or anything, where it's. I mean, you couldn't do it for Star Wars now, but like Adam Driver did like a sketch where he goes undercover.
Oh, he's like a radar technician.
Yeah. Like an entire thing.
Matt, the radar technician, something like that.
And like a show like that, well, not specifically him, but like it's just like a low-level worker behind the scenes for the Empire and stuff. You couldn't do it now because they just go lower decks, because that's essentially the same kind of.
But they also tried that with, remember that Powerless? That Alan Tudyk show it's set in the DC universe. And it's like Wayne Tech like damage control teams or whatever. It was like I remember watching like 2.
I didn't watch any of
them. It was not good. But it was like, they need to come up with a bunch of things to help save people from all the shenanigans that Batman and Superman or whatever get up to.
Good idea.
It is, but again, it's who you get to execute it is the problem.
It's also Marvel's. What was their damage control called?
Damage control.
Was it just damage control? One in the comic, yeah. I know they loosely referenced it in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
It's been in a few where they say like it's the team that's come in and helped out or whatever. Actually, speaking of though, have you been watching Secret Invasion?
Yeah.
Where are you up to?
Last week's. I haven't watched today's.
It's not.
Tomorrow. I haven't watched tomorrow's.
Okay, so
I am up to
you're
date.
Up to speed with where we're at
though.
I'll tell you what. There's only one takeaway that I've got from this so far.
It's boring.
It is quite boring, isn't it? But I'm okay with that because not everything needs to have a million action things or whatever.
Just one or two will do.
But that's all there is. It's just you get a Groot arm or whatever. But Olivia Colman, she has to be in the MCU going forward. Like she is so good in that. I mean, I've been watching stuff she's been in for fucking years. Like she's in Peep Show. I don't know if you've ever watched Peep Show.
Yeah, I love Peep Show.
But she's so in Peep Show from like early 2000s.
Very late 90s, early 2000s.
So sort of like that's weird though, being like in sort of like weird.
She doesn't age much.
No, she hasn't at all. Absolutely not. No, she looks great. But like she's done sort of like quirky British comedy stuff, and now she's a really quite big Hollywood name. It's crazy. But her sort of like her shield person, like the British Shield sort of thing. She's just sort of like, I'm quite polite and I'm quite posh, but I will torture you and I will shoot this guy in the face right in front of you. Like it's like I think she'd be a good Bond.
I don't know about that.
She's got this great charm about her, and she's like dead nice, but she just doesn't hold back. Like she's shot like that dude in the face. She shot her boss in the leg.
She became the new
M. I think you're a Skrull. Bang.
Took over from Judi Dench.
Oh, I'd be okay with that. I'd absolutely be okay with that.
Bit more brass, bit more. If you gotta kill him, kill him. And if you don't, I will.
Like like she's literally not afraid to get her hands dirty. Like she's literally just torturing and shooting people all over the place. Brilliant. But I think I'm quite enjoying it. It seems like it is more subtle, but it always comes to, and they mentioned it like 3 times. Like, why don't you just get the Avengers in? Like, we've got a 1,000 Skrulls or whatever. They're all super strong and super powerful. They're going to nuke things and they're going to kill the president.
Where's Falcon? The new Captain America.
Well, he's definitely not off planet.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
Most of them, you could make an argument that they are off planet doing a thing. But you've still got Spider-Man, you've still got Ant-Man, although he could be, it could be Quantum, whatever. The Marvels, presumably, like Captain and Ms. Marvel, they're all off planet as well.
Actually, Hawkeye's still about.
Well, he's more retired than more than anything.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we got a Skrull invasion. Yeah, but I'm retired, Fury. So
yeah, I guess, yeah. But like Doctor Strange, like again, he could go right. Okay, I'll cast a spell. All the Skrulls are now visible. There they all are. Get them all. It's because they could solve that problem in half an episode. So you can't have them in it. But it's the problem where it's just like, oh, it's really personal. It's not personal, mate. Like when they're talking about nuking things and blowing up, like and assassinating the president, that's more than just personal. It's not someone who's got a personal vendetta against you. It's somebody who's trying to blow up the planet and cause the Third World War. Maybe calling you back up. I mean, I'm assuming that they're saving it that the real Rhodey will show up and he'll be armored.
we've already seen it.
Or they'll get.
It was on the trailer.
Oh well, no, I didn't see that.
But we know he's going to happen.
I mean, but that's the thing. You can't get. I've forgotten his name. The actor who plays him.
Fucking hell.
Don
Cheadle. I know it's the ch.
Like if he's going to be in it as much as he is at the moment, I'd be bitterly disappointed if they didn't have War Machine come into it.
It's assuming that it is War Machine anyway. Like there's armor in the trailer, like when they first showed it ages ago. But it also could just be the Skrull has got access to the armor.
That's true. I mean, if it's all you need is like a bio check or whatever to get into it or to access it in a base or whatever.
I'm assuming he's at the place with the
yeah, I agree. That's where I think he'd be as well. Because why else wouldn't he have busted out and done whatever? Yeah. But then you've still got Ironheart. You've got
Black Panther.
The various Hulks knocking about. Do you know what I mean? There's plenty of backup.
Moon Knight
to call on.
Maybe not Moon Knight, but
no, you're not going to call Moon Knight for anything. You're crazy.
I'm just name dropping fucking Disney Plus shows. But
yeah. But there's plenty of them mooching about that you could do stuff with, and like Jarvis, I'm sure is still around, isn't he? Well, no, maybe not Jarvis, but like a Stark AI that could like call.
He'll have like Tuesday or Wednesday
drones.
or whatever.
Yeah. So it seems like that they build to a point where like now's the big fight, and now we actually need some real backup.
I think Gwyneth Paltrow still got her Iron Man suit.
Oh, the rescue armor, presumably, or either that, or it was given to Tony Stark's kid, maybe. But she still have access to the other ones. We've still got Ironheart though, and there's the Black Panthers. Do you know what I mean? There's tons of people to call on.
Like she took the armor off her though, didn't she? At the end of Black Panther 2, takes the armor off. She can't take that with you.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
she could just build another one, but
that's what I mean. You make another one, don't you? So it's but if it's not Brie Larson, it's pointless. Yeah. Like because this whole thing has come from that movie. Like, and I get that if they just said, well, she's just doing Marvel stuff now, so she's in the universe doing the Marvels. I get it. Like, it's not just a case of they can't get her or there's contractual whatever. Like, they could say canonically this is happening on another planet miles away. But she has zipped back to Earth for the end of Ms. Marvel, hasn't she? So potentially she could still be knocking around, and you could get the intro to the Marvels as the end of this.
Probably what they are going to do. It's probably going to end with
that. I'd love that. That'd be amazing if like there's a big Gravik thing and he's doing a Super Skrull thing, and then she just comes in and goes fuck off and just twats him out of the way.
I'd prefer if she did that.
I like
so fuck off.
Yeah. But I like the fact that they've got like the extremist stuff back, so they can just heal forever, and he's got a big Groot arm. I want to see what this harvest. I want to see who's in that, because you could say it's like an amalgamation of all. So you could just go right. He's got a Captain Marvel photon blast, and he's got a big Hulk hand, and he's got a Captain America. I mean, they're already pretty strong anyway. Like that Skrull fight that they have, where they're all kicking the shit out of each other. That was pretty great. Like when they were just battering the fuck out of each other.
Problem is though, with the with what they're doing for the Super Skrull formula, they have basically gone that Shield have all these like the DNA from.
No, Shield doesn't. Fury does.
But Fury has all the DNA from like various people that showed up in the Marvel universe. So theoretically, you could create. Oh, here's Captain America's back. Such and such is back. And I was going to say Gamora, but I don't think he loved Gamora's. But like anyone who dies,
I don't think she ever came.
No,
to
that's what I'm saying. That's why I stopped it. But anyone who's died, if Shuri's got the DNA, you could just clone them.
Potentially, or you could just, if they could,
to that extent,
could turn into that.
That's
person.
what I mean. And then they get the powers, and then
you could replace anyone.
Yeah.
Because then you could go, well, you've still got the same powers as Captain Marvel or whatever, but because Brie Larson doesn't want to do it anymore, well, I'm going to be my Skrull face, but with the Captain Marvel powers.
Yes.
So that's a potential, and especially if you say you've got 1 million of them as well. There's all your X-Men. There's all a replacement for any hero. Just DNA them up, and then bang, there you go, replaced.
I'd be annoyed if the X-Men are introduced in this.
No, they won't be. But like, having like 50 spider people all zipping about doing cool stuff, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
I don't hate it. It's just not. I was sold on it when me and Kevin Feige sat down and talked about it.
And you gave him the go-ahead.
I was sold on it that it was in like tonally, it was Winter Soldier, the series, and it ain't. No, not even close.
No.
I think it's better than Falcon and Winter Soldier, the show.
Yes.
But it's nowhere near the highs of Loki.
But again, that's more comic-y though, isn't it? It's time travel and dimensions and planets and aliens and wacky weird stuff going on. Like, you can be a bit more creative and a bit more silly with it. Whereas this is like, you can't trust anyone. It's paranoia. It's it's a new Cold War kind of thing.
But it doesn't feel like this should be a huge threat. This should be like almost Thanos level threat not in terms of like raw power, but they could. There's 1 million of them. We don't know where the fuck they are, and they could be anyone
and
with any
there's
powers.
no way of detecting them, and they can turn into military people, and they were going to launch nukes. Like they were literally stopped.
But it doesn't feel like that.
More than anything,
it feels like Where's Wally? And that's what they're doing.
I reckon if they'd, but the thing is, if they start to succeed, so they blow up that little square or whatever, that town square, and Maria gets shot. What a waste! That whole character, like
right, bring
10
back.
years, that character, bang, just.
I bet he's got a vial of Maria.
That's true. You probably could just go. You can just be Maria from now on, But if they did get the Americans to nuke that Skrull base, that would trigger all of the Avengers getting involved.
Yeah.
And I've got a feeling that the goal for this is that we need to keep it as low-key as possible, so that we don't get we don't have a reason to go, well, Iron Man should just come in and sort, well, not Iron Man, but Ant-Man or whatever, he should come in and sort that out. Like, why haven't you called him yet? Like, if it's still sort of like subversive and espionage, and I'm still surprised he hasn't shot Rhodey in the face. Like, why? He's a Skrull, just shoot him in the face, because he's going to get up to something, isn't he?
There's obviously a reason.
I'm going to say evil War Machine. He's gonna go to the base, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, Colonel Rhodes, hello, nice to see you. I'm here for the War Machine armor." Well, of course you are, and of course we'd let you use it because you're clearly Colonel Rhodes. And like Nick Fury's not gonna be able to put a call in and say, "Whatever you do, don't let him get it," because he hasn't got any power to do so.
What I would love is there's a I think it was about 3 years ago, there was a comic run where Fury went to the Punisher, because basically most of the Avengers were off world, and he needed someone to go and do a mission for him. And he went to the Punisher. The Punisher said, "I'll do it, but I want the War Machine armor." And Fury's like, "You're not having the War Machine armor." He's like, "Well, I'm not doing the mission then." So he gives in and lets him have it. And he says, so we'll go and do the mission, then come straight back, and he's basically just like, "Fuck off," and just takes the armor and fucks off, goes and kills a loads of terrorists and stuff. Then the Avengers end up going after him when they come back to get the armor back, and it's got a fucking skull on it and everything. And that's what.
The one person that you don't want to trust that level of tech to is the one guy who's going to go, well, I'm going to go and find every shoplifter and every car thief I can, and they're going to get rocketed.
I can't remember it exactly, but I'm pretty sure in the thing when like through the panels, and then like it might not be Maria Hilbert will say this, and she's just like, we can't give it to Frank Castle, and Fury's like, well, who else is going to do it? And she's like, me. You, Bob, like
Literally
anyone
we can get our hands on.
But that's all I want to see in this. So you got like Bad Rhodey goes, he gets the War Machine armor, and then they go to John Bethesda and be like, "We need you to wear this armor. We've got this secondary armor. Go and find him, kill him."
Yeah.
That's put the Punisher into it, and he gets some cool armor.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to see him before Daredevil, if I'm honest. I'd like to see him just turn up in this for absolutely no reason.
Even I go to She-Hulk. Go get She-Hulk.
Or Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi would probably be a good shout.
He would kick the living Christ out of all of these people. Imagine that. 50 scrolls and he's just like, you're nothing. I fought a massive dragon monster. I'll tear you up, man.
I like to see like doing it like using the rings like a yo-yo. She's like walking the dog and it's just like taking them all out, and then he's like cat's cradle and stuff.
Yeah, murdering them all.
We need a second Shang-Chi.
Yeah, that was an absolute solid hit.
I honestly think that was probably one of the last like truly fantastic ones. We've had a lot of good ones after, but Shang-Chi was fucking excellent, real good.
Yeah, I might watch that again tonight. Actually, now that I
don't think I'll watch it tonight.
Like,
I will watch it again soon.
Yeah, that's an absolute success.
Out of nowhere as well. I was like, when I first saw the trailer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember you weren't that sort of fussed on it. To be fair, but what do you reckon the odds are with like if we get Olivia Colman, and she's this head of the let's just call it MI6, but SIS or whatever it is. So it's this like it's either the Secret Service, so it's like the British intelligence, or it's a British version of Shield. But it doesn't seem like it's big and bulky, and you know, it feels like it is more of an intelligence agency.
It feels very old fashioned.
You know, kinda, yeah. It is a bit sort of old school Bond in that sort of sense. What if they went, well, you know, we've got this scroll thing. It's been an American problem, and they cause it American, but now this is a worldwide thing. But we've got some backup for you,
Britain.
And it's Captain Britain,
Henry Cavill.
They just roll him out and just went, we've got this guy that's just been chilling.
Can't think. I'll be honest.
And he could,
name me a better way of introducing him.
I mean, but this is the thing. Unless this is well received and people go, "Oh, Olivia Colman, we like her," and she's now in this thing. You know, what if this agency, this is like a secondary Shield, or it's some new thing, and then there's you can have Blade, because like Blade's English, isn't he? Well, I mean, he's not in the films, I suppose, but he's in the comics. He's British.
It's also been cancelled indefinitely for the time being.
Yeah, although there's a new Blades comic run that's launching soon, so that might be
it's more just for
to a degree.
Troubles with like development and stuff on it, like filming and casting.
Yeah, I'd rather they start again rather than hobble something. Otherwise, you will just get a Flash thing. You'd be like, well, it's fine, but it's not.
I do genuinely think that the Secret Invasion is an excellent, at least to mention him. Captain Britain, this is, because of the amount of focus that is on the British side of things, like keeps dipping back and forth. I think it's a.
Well, he's living in Brixton as well.
It's just it's.
Oh no,
it's,
the Skrulls were living there anyway, and like it's a lot of English actors, obviously as well.
I think it's an excellent time for it, even if they're like just in case things go south, we've got a backup plan.
This is like we've got someone that's we've been keeping him on ice because we don't need to give him a ship and have him flying around and doing all kinds of shit and getting all in the news. He's like he's a super spy.
Yeah.
So he's like a Black Widow. He's like Captain America, but Black Widow. That can fly and shoot lasers, yeah, but
Mr. Bond. But I think it's a good thing, especially if it was Cavill as well.
You're never going to get him in this.
I don't know.
Nah, you're never going to get him.
You reckon? You don't reckon he jumped to be Captain Britain? Really? I think he would.
I think he's had his time with it now. I reckon he's just like, I'll do my Warhammer thing because I love Warhammer and I can be invested in that. And I've finished The Witcher now as well, so I can just focus on this thing, and then I'll find a new thing that I'll go off and doing. Another nerd thing that he's super into. But that feels like, because it's not just, he wouldn't just be like, oh, just come in and just do a cameo. It would be like, you need to do 6 movies.
No, he'd be the face of the next, like, whatever phase they'd use for. But I suppose he'd need to fall in the cosmic phase, which is now. Because your next phase is it's got to be mutants, hasn't it? It's got to be.
Well, because it's multiverse at the moment, isn't it? So it's like cosmic multiverse.
Yeah, it's all cosmic stuff, so well, the shenanigans that are going on now with your space and whatnot.
The TVA.
But your next one, it's not announced, but it's got to be mutants. It's got to be.
Well, I mean, they've already touched on it, haven't they? Because like, Ms. Marvel's a mutant, and Deadpool's going to be a mutate. But if Wolverine's in that, and they somehow managed to get Deadpool into the current like MCU timeline, then there's your mutant.
Oh.
But it's just that's an old mutant, and it doesn't mean anything.
Namor's mutant.
I think they said he's a mutant, didn't they? Yeah. It just seems like it's they're doing little bits to kind of bring it to the surface, but they're not really.
The problem is
not
how they do it.
It's not full thing.
Because, like we said before, people like Wolverine have fought like countless wars over the many, many, many years that they've been on this planet, and you can't just go, "Oh, mutants are a thing." Yeah, but he's.
I know. I'd say you could just do it like, someone develops mutant powers and they are taken away by Xavier or whoever, and he just wipes the minds of them. So anyone that comes into contact with them, they forget. And it's a big camouflaged compound.
Such
and
a cop out.
it would be, but it'd just be like, well, they've always been here, and we've been around, but we're just not getting involved.
Multiverse is your best way.
It has to be, or like I say, it'd be like, or like a Prometheus thing where this Wolverine comes through into another universe 10 million years ago, and he dies in a puddle, and his DNA then just travels through like everyone else, and then
they've got to, though, because at some point they're going to touch on, like with Magneto, with like, I know it's Genosha, but like currently in the comics it's Krakoa. It's the same equivalent thing as Genosha, and at some point they're going to touch on that kind of thing, and you're going to have Apocalypse coming in and whatnot. But the whole thing with in particular the X-Men, is mutants being persecuted for who they are and stuff. You can't have them
forever.
But you can't have them coming into it and be like, "There's mutants now," and they go, "We're sick of the way we've been treated all this time." What?
Wait, who are you?
I don't know why. What's going on?
But if the Skrulls are hated because of, they've already got like a history of being persecuted and hated, and then they're on Earth and people can't distinguish, like, you're a terrorist Skrull and you're a civilian, asylum seeker Skrull. And then they take on these new identities, and there's like that harvest thing explodes and it just covers a bunch of them, and then they all turn into mutants.
Well, no, because then they're not mutants, then they're mutates. The difference between a mutant and mutate is a mutant is
born.
They've got it born, and mutate is given. So they've got to develop it naturally, which is
difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, because they've had the chances to do it with the various films that they've done.
I mean, they could just do a new Doctor Strange and there's just another time explosion.
Yeah.
Multiverse bang. Here they all are.
There'll be a way around it, because it's supposedly... no, I'm not going to talk about it because it might spoil something. So, ignore that altogether.
Okay.
So, but it's to do with an upcoming thing. So, make a note, 25th of the 7th, 2023. I had something to tell you about a film that I can't tell you in case you don't know about it.
Cool.
Make a note and remember.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
When that film that you don't know what I'm on about comes out, we'll revisit this bit.
Yeah, definitely. I'll hold you to it.
Speaking of, though, Dan, I think we'll wrap it up there. Coming up to the 2-hour mark. But you can go to podcastfirstplay.com. It's all going along the bottom of the screen, but we've got some stuff. We did Power Wash Simulator yesterday. Did a bit more of that. We've done some Sniper. We've got some more things coming up. Limited things this week purely because I was ill last week, and then I'm busy this week because it's me little man's birthday. So bit off schedule, but otherwise we'll be back up and running. But yeah, unless you got nothing else, we'll go. We'll leave it there.
No, that'll leave me.
Right. See you all in the next one. Bye.